can you tell us what is PTTS and uh, what uh, what was the inspiration behind it, and why do you
Yeah,
thought of starting such kind of program?
yeah. See, I mean, PTTS is is actually first. I mean, it is inspired from mathematics. So mathematics, there is a MTTS, Mathematics Training and Talent Search program, which Professor Kumaresan has been leading it and leading it for a long time. And independently, some of us, I mean, actually three of us, Professor myself, Professor Raghavan Rangarajan, who is now in Ahmedabad University, and also Professor S.V.M. Satyanarayana, who is in Pondicherry University. We three have been discussing privately with once when we were discussing with Professor Rajsekharan. He's a emeritus professor in the Institute of Mathematical Sciences. So when we were discussing and all, so some discussion, it just came, why not, I mean, we know this MTTS is running successful, why not we start a program for physics also. We just got the name PTTS, and then we said we will try to build that thing. So only the name was there, and we three said we'll, so that said you three take care of it and do that. So we have been involved and, for a long time. Unlike MTTS, where they have a funding from the National Board of Higher Mathematics, in physics there is no equivalent board. For us, getting funds also was quite a difficult thing. We tried for several years. But anyhow, now it's sort of then from the 2015 onwards, we have been running a program. It's all every year we have to look for funds. And first time we got funds from some research institutes as a one-time grant, and we started at a small level. Then the last 4 5 years, we are fortunate to have interaction with the Infosys Science Foundation, and they have been funding our program. We are partnering with them with that. They are fully sponsoring this program. And so this program is something, it's having taken the name from MTS, but physics is something completely different, right? And we have, so that we have organically and everywhere, we have sort of the independent entity, and we have, so tune our conceptualize this teaching everything tune for the physics program, right? Which is different from max, and also we have to have our own ideology and principles. So the basic the three principles which we in PTTS stands for. One is uh, uh, what to teach. We don't want to teach very advanced subjects. Whatever they are expected. One is we have been doing only at a higher education, BSc and MSc. We have not yet come to the school level education. So we run training programs for these people. And recently, we have also initiated for teachers also, training program for teachers. And we have, what to teach is something we don't want to teach a very advanced concepts. Whatever they are expected to know at a BSc second year students, the same content, the same syllabus, right? That is what we teach. But what we differ is how to teach the subject. We want to teach completely. The classroom must be a very active learning. Students must be a lot of discussions and learn to ask questions, right? And learn to discuss, work with others. Tutorials, we form them into groups of 5 people with all from different states. Then we make them uh, discuss the problem before actually do it, and then doing it. Uh, and we also have an experimental session where uh, they have to do hands-on. Maybe experimental come separately. That's completely a different thing. This is what we do on what to teach and whom to teach. Also, we don't generally take people from IITs, ISS, and all. We don't go by that absolute best in that. So we have, so we cater only to people who are, not in these elite institutions. That's the first thing. Second is we in our class, in our students, about 50% are from the colleges which exist in rural areas. So when if there are 100 students, 50 will be the college exists in not in the metro cities or in the major cities. So that is something which we are particular, and 50% will be women candidates. That's also we make a very conscious decision. Third is that we see that every state has a representation. So that is these are three things: whom to teach, what to teach, and how to teach. Our selection is also a bit unique. The way we select student is we students register for the program in our website. Once they fill in all the basic details, at the end they get one online question. We have a question bank in our system, and the system randomly selects one question to each student, and this student is asked to write down the answer and give. And this, I think, the students are given the following instructions. One is they can refer any books, they can refer any notes, right? Except they should not discuss with others. They can take any before the last date. If they submit, that is fine. The second thing is that we tell them we are not interested in their final answer being right or wrong. We only want to see that whether they are able to think, right? Whether they can go from specific examples to generalization, whether they know to go from analogies, they can build it. So these kind of skills is what we try to check whether they know or not. Okay, and so these questions are also framed for a 5 marks. First 2 marks will be we make it consciously to be a very throwaway questions. So the student must gain a confidence. That is one thing. And if student doesn't even answer that most throwaway questions, then we don't select them. So these questions are these students they write down the answer, they upload the answer. Then we manually evaluate with 3 coordinators. We sit down and evaluate all this. Then we give marks. Then we select only those who are 60% and above. Only such students are selected. Then we select keeping these 3 things into mind. Every state gets some representation, generally proportional to the application. And overall, totally, about 50% are women and 50% are from a rural background. So these things which we are very, very cautious, very generally we try to do that. And even in the last few years and all, we found that women have from MSc to PhD people, not many women are going. So we thought from last 2 years, we have given an extra numerary seats for women. MSc students who have finished MSc, but who had a break in career due to family reasons. We give about 5 seats for them and ask them also, but they should also apply and do all these things. But then we give them extra seats for them, and they also ask them to attend the program. And so 1 or 2 of them, they are, the first time we did, they are doing extremely well, and they put into some internship, and we got them internship. Then they are doing extremely well. So this selection is based on this. This is the way we select the students in this program.
It's really great to listen, and I would say that this needs a great courage, and also at the same time the dedication that you people have for teaching and supporting the students to grow with good knowledge of sciences. It's really commendable, and we all appreciate your efforts as a chief coordinator and all the supporting teachers that are there in the camp for PTTS. We wish all the best for the uh, upcoming success. And
You want to? I would, like to add. This is a final question.
no. I have one last question.
Yeah, because about the PTTS, I thought, I have not, said, see, in our training program, we have, as I said, 3 points are there. One is we teach, there is a regular theory classes. where the classroom will be completely interactive sessions, and students will be, on their toes. They will be asked questions. We ask questions. Sometimes, we encourage any visitor who also comes to intervene on behalf of the students to ask the lecturer, right? With the understanding that I know the answer, he also knows the answer, but students should learn what is a good questions to ask, right? So, that is the one part of learning we have. Second part is the tutorials we do. It is completely a peer learning. We divide them into groups, and they have to see that each student is from a different state, but we are compelled to speak in English, and we give a problem, and we don't give any solution. We just go around. We are only a facilitators for them, right? And we see that they are going in a right track discussions, and if they come and ask us for help, then we give them. Okay, but mostly they learn. That's a peer learning is there. That is the second part. Third is our experiment. So the experiment is we have a hands-on experiment. So what they do is, for a 3 weeks program we have, what they are given is just an one-line statement of the problem to be investigated. Okay, and what is not given is any lab equipments, instructions, what to do. Nothing is given to them. So the student's job is, we divide into the group. Each group is given one experiment, but individually they have to do the experiments. So the group is given individually, they have to do the experiment, and they have to come to the board and tell us how to design that experiment. Usually, in most of our curriculum, BSc or MSc classes, students are given, all the instructions are given. There is no scope for them to design and think of an experiment. Here, they have to come. They should say that this is what we try to do. With an important proviso, with a constraint, the cost of an experiment should not cross 300 rupees. That's with that condition, they have to come with a. They should tell us that to do this, I need these things. Right? Then when we'll tell them, okay, come, we'll go and buy. Right? Tell us whatever you need, I'll buy and give it to you. So first week they design, they discuss and come to board, and each in front of the whole class, they tell us how they are going to approach the problem, how they will be trying to do. After the end of the first week, they started doing the experiment. If they are not in the right track, we guide them and bring them to the right track, and by prodding them, asking them questions, and make them come to the right direction. And sometimes we have a solutions for all this, but sometimes students come with a solution which is different from what we have thought of. We all encourage students to try that also. And one thing we tell them very clearly is that we are not interested in the final answer being correct or close to the known result, or right. Those things are not important. What is important is the skill of thinking, the skill of doing, the skill of learning the difficulties in implementing what you are doing it. That is more important. Even if the final answer is not good, we don't tell them that you have to produce a result, right? They are not working under a pressure, right? That they have to get this required result and all, right? That's that. So whatever they do, that's fine. That's a thing. Then after the third week, they have to. Usually it also involves making measurements and all. So whatever they require, they have to make. If they want to make, say, they have a pulley, they have to really make a pulley by hand, right? If they want to say that they make a solenoid, they have to buy a wire, and they have to take something, and they have to wind, and they have to do that. Then only with that, they have to do that experiment. Then on the last day, they have to make a presentation of the experiment. So usually what we do is that we invite some of the most eminent scientists. Generally, it is just that we chose, not that some maybe anyone who is an Infosys award winner or some. So that we thought we will choose them. And of course, they are also generally the most eminent scientists of the country. So they have come, and these students, they make a presentation in front of them, and we tell them to ask any questions and see that they learn to face scientists. So then they make this presentation. So this is the way this experimental part is done. We feel that many experiments are the way it is done in a conventionally everywhere. It's a kind of a cookbook recipes. So students don't have much scope to think of designing an experiment part, they have very less experience in it. So we feel that that should be a sort of a corrected. So in this program, we try to see that they learn to design, they learn to think, and they learn to combine the physics theory concept and experiment. They learn to connect the two. Right? These are the way we try to do that. So this experimental part then goes in this way. Um, so this and then we get some one or two people to give some general lectures on the general developments in physics. And the last few years, we even got few students get an internship to some places we have organized, arranged. And so the 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 experience many things students give and feedback is very. In fact, we tell them our goal is not to just teach physics only, right? I mean, what we aim to do is they should learn to learn. That is the basic thing. If they learn how to learn a subject, then they will sort of pick up fast way of doing that. That skill is what we try to imbibe with the student. So, I mean, and maybe, and most important thing is that we don't stop our interaction with the students. We maintain a contact with every student. I mean, all these years, we have a WhatsApp group of every batch, and then there we discuss students. Any student can ask some doubts. I understand. I don't understand how we do it. That we keep regularly. I mean, teachers and resource persons are part of the group. We interact with them, and added to that, Infosys Science Foundation has really one thing has they are quite generous in giving funds, and they are giving complete freedom, with something which I would very and but they also taught us certain thing how to evaluate your programs. I mean, uh, in what I had to do at the end of the program is I have to keep track of every student from the since inception. From 2015 is my first batch. I have to keep from 15 when we have an Excel sheet of every year, every student, their phone number to email ID, to where they were when they were doing MSc, when we attended the program, where they are now, and what was the feedback of that program at that time. Right, everything I have to keep updating year by year, right, and I am maintaining that, and that I have to share with them. And they also want to have a short-term, a mid-term review of the student program. So as a short-term, they have suggested that I conduct pre and a post PTTS questions, right? Which is basically we ask them some question on the domain of subject. It's a prerequisite of what they are supposed to attend, and something based on what was taught. And then I have to give questions and evaluate and give marks. And these marks has to be individual marks of these students has to be shared with them. And this progress is also they evaluate when they keep funding every year. They've been seeing that progress, and based on it, they've been doing funding for the next year. It's not an assured funding every year. I mean, right? I have to make a presentation. I mean, I have to present the results. Then if they are satisfied, then they give. I mean, so like that, it has been sort of going. And we also see that how many of the students from BSc have gone for MSc, how many from MSc have gone for PhD, right? That percentage is also something which I have to keep telling, right? And we so that's a I mean, so that's a kind of a thing which we have to keep track of in every student who's been following the career path of all the students is also something which we keep doing, which we have to keep updating, and so that record is also there. And some students we lose track of. We tell them this many students we are lost track of, but some students are how many are continuing research. Some people have left physics, few some people, right? Some people are still preparing. All this information data I have to give right? I provide them the histogram, all these details, and that is also something. So they have taught us to sort of we give a self evaluation, right? So that's something which we plan to sort of do that, and students also give us marks. in the every year they give us marks for conceptual understanding out of 5, how much they rate us. For experimental skill improvement, how much they rate us, how much for problem solving skill, right? Out of 5, how much they rate us is also sort of given to them. So this is also something which, and these things are all on sent to them. And all our pre and post PTTS questions, right, we have to share with the Infosys Science Foundation before we send the program, before we start the program. And they generally said in principle they can send it to evaluate others, to anybody else they want. So some of the eminent scientists in India, like Rajaram Nityananda, Professor Rajaram Nityananda, I've seen they have gone through these questions, and they have, so so in that sense there is a quality check of what we are doing it also by that. So so those kind of a thing is also this sort of sort of a, helping us, even for us to judge ourselves. And instead of just going by anecdotal information, or some student is saying good, some student, right? Instead of that, we try to understand ourselves, and we try to see what are the course corrections we can make based on these evaluations. So this is also being done in a very serious way.
Thanks, Professor Sivakumar, for bringing such kind of program for students. And it's really inspiring to listen to you, that the way you have started and the way you are carrying this program. And I wish that a lot of funding agencies uh, help your program for to grow, and to help a lot of students in India, and make their lives in sciences. In fact, they will get a lot of interest the way you all are teaching in this program. And thank you so much for doing such kind of things, like what MTTS is doing. At the same time, the PTTS is doing very well. And I wish all the best for your program. Even though I'm very small to say this, but still, as a learner, I would say that it's a very good program, and a lot of students will be benefited after doing training in this kind of program under your supervision, and a lot of other teachers those who are supporting this program. And one final question that I have uh, for you is, if someone wants to become scientist, so what do they do, and what should they know, and what advice would you give to the students who just started learning at school level?
The first thing is I would say is that they should understand science as a in a broader sense of, you know uh, whatever things which are happening, they are trying to understand science with the basic principles you try to understand. Therefore, they should learn to see science in everything they see in our day-to-day life. Right? That is something. The science should not, which is not in a lab only, or read textbooks only. Our science is not only in understanding black holes or something of that things only. First thing is they should see that science is something you try to understand with why things are the way they are. Right? That's a kind of thing. So that is the first thing they should try to see science. And second thing is, see nowadays, I mean, see which branch of science they go to an extent depends on your mental skill and capabilities. Right? Yeah, kind of a thinking process involves to become a pure mathematics is different from the kind of a mental faculty required to be a biologist, to be a chemist. Each of them must slightly different. So you have to find what is it which your innate skill, right? Your inborn skill you have, which takes you there. That after some time you would be able to see that where you naturally sort of gravitate, or by some time which you don't like doing in one, whereas you like doing something else, then you try to do, right? That is a second thing of which direction to go into. Second, third is, if you learn a subject, you also, somewhere now there is a lot of praise for going for internship and writing papers and getting a publication at a very young age. Okay. That is actually, it's not a bad thing to get into research at a young age. Doing that, it's not by itself is a wrong thing. but it should not become an end to itself. Right? You should try to understanding subject and learning the basics will be better. Then you getting into that will be better, so that you learn all the basics of the field you are doing it. You should, I mean, what I am trying to say is that I mean, you should see that whatever you are, the understanding and depth of the subject is very important. At a later stage, if you want to have to do a fundamental contribution in science, I mean, people of that caliber, they understand science, the discipline, and that physics to a great depth. Right, that depth of understanding will come. Right, you should inculcate even at this age of how to understand whatever you understand with a great depth. So you should, I mean, at the at the cost of writing wanting to write papers, you should not lose your focus of understanding the subject, right? So there should be a balance, correct balance. You should try to sort of maintain between them. And another thing is, if you get to learn a subject, right? Even if you think at that moment it is not relevant for you, right? But and you get an opportunity to learn a subject, you learn the subject. Right? Somebody says he's a very good in subject, he's going to teach a course, but that subject is right now is not my field of interest. Means doesn't matter. I mean, you like, because at some stage later, all of them will become very useful. Nowadays, the subjects are so much developing. Boundaries between the subjects, boundaries between the sub-subjects, boundaries between the sub-sub-subjects, they are all breaking. Okay, so nowadays one can't afford to just be doing only on a very small thing and making continuing for the rest of the life. Therefore, it's better if you get a chance to learn, you try to learn a subject. Okay? And one final thing I would say is that if you learn and understand the subject, you see that you are satisfied with that understanding. You don't have to try to convince somebody else. You try to your own self. Yes, I am satisfied with the explanation. I am understood. I am satisfied with it. That self thing is the most important. It's not so much to write something to write an examiner or to answer an interview question or to answer an that should not be the way to understand. When you understand something, you be honest to yourself and say that yes, I have understood. This is to my satisfaction. I understand this. Okay. If you don't understand like that, you keep it aside. It will come back at a later stage. Your mind will be working. Your subconscious mind will be working. Some stage it is going to come. Okay. So I mean that is one very important advice I would give. Be honest to yourself in understanding. When you make a contribution, the science ethics is very important, right? I mean, when you take a reference, you give a proper acknowledgement to it. When somebody suggested that idea, and in some discussion, you try to give acknowledge to that. Right? So right, that ethics is also, I mean, sort of a very scientific ethics is also very important. Okay, and everywhere be honest to yourself. And of course, nowadays science it has to be very competitive, and you have to right. I mean, go with the flow. Do that, but right, but don't lose the essence and the spirit and the heart of doing science, which is to genuinely to understand what things with whatever is happening. Right? When you are going for a smaller thing, don't miss the understanding of a much global picture of these things, right? And like, always try to understand with a great depth. Right? That will make you do a very fundamental, important contribution will come. And if you have a superficial understanding, you will only do superficial work. I mean, at your greater later part of life. If you have a deeper understanding, and then people will be able to see that this guy understands, and that will take you to another thing. Okay, so that is one advice I will give.
So thank you so much for the valuable suggestion, Professor Sivakumar. And I know that these suggestions will make a lot of difference for the students and all the teachers who are out there in schools and colleges who are listening to this video. And I wish that a lot of students should take up science and go the way you all are doing and learn learn the essence of science and make India proud. And thanks for being with us. And it's been really amazing. And I thank you so much that you accepted my sincere invitation and allowed me to take this wonderful interview, like an interactive session. and more like the suggestions that you made. And I really appreciate, and I wish you be in good health and guide all of us and make the students. Thank you so much, Professor Sivakumar, for being in my chat. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. I
And
enjoyed very much being with you. I enjoyed all the questions you asked, right? And I hope it benefits at least some of you.
one last request, Professor. Like as I've already told you about the help that we need to improve the school curriculum, school understanding. I wish you will be there with us in future.
Yeah, yeah.
When
You tell me what you need, right? Whether
yes,
you want me to come to Kharagpur and come and meet and talk to you, I wouldn't mind coming and doing that, right? And
thank
anything can be done in online also. I can do it,
you.
right? So whatever you want me to in some way, I would certainly be sort of assistant to you, right?
Yes.
You just tell me what you want me to do. I'm
Thank you
available.
so much for being so kind to us. And a lot of teachers who are in Kharagpur, they will be very happy if you meet them, whether in online or offline, so that they
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be
yeah.
guided.
If I come that side to Kharagpur, I will try to come. I mean, if you can, if I
Sure,
get
sure,
something, then I will certainly come. I can
sure,
come physically also or
sure.
online also. We can meet, right?
Thank you.
So I'm available anything and for any time.
Thank you. It will be a blessing if it happens in some days. Thank you so much, Professor Shivakumar. We'll see you in some other
Yeah,
day.
sure.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to see. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.